I was originally planning to make this lesson about me doing design stuff where we can animate in the pop-ups and maybe do some different styles on them all in like a smart, intelligent way. I'm going to save that for the next lesson. I want to actually show you another JavaScript thing because that's kind of the purpose of this course. So let's do that. Now, one thing that's kind of driving me crazy is I said in the last lesson that add class, remove class handles really well. So for example, if you click secret pop-up, remove class, it's just going to ignore it if there's no class to remove. Well, when we have a pop-up open and I click remove secret pop-up, regardless if it's pop-up 1 from pop-up or pop-up 2, it's going to try to remove class, show me on all pop-ups. So if I had 1,000,000 pop-ups on this page, even though you would never do that, it's going to take a while to run. I want to make this a little bit more performant. And I want to actually be able to say, hey, the target, I want to be able to remove class. Now, if I run this now, even though this variable exists, we're going to run a new issue. It's not going to work. And this is because of a thing. See, I'm clicking this right now. Nothing's working. And this is because of a concept in JavaScript called scope. This is really kind of important to becoming an even better developer in other languages, or not just other languages, but also more advanced JavaScript things like other frameworks I meant. And this is kind of a tricky concept to grasp, but it's not too bad if we don't overthink it. So what I want to show you is anything between kind of function brackets is a scope. And that's like the extent that you need to understand it. So all the variables between the function here belong only to this scope. All the variables between the brackets here only belong to this scope. Well, what about here? The brackets all belong to this scope. So what if I had a variable up here called whatever dude and is equal to random text? Well, this isn't in that scope. Would that work if I tried to do whatever dude? And the truth is, let's open it up. It would. And that's because even though scope for this belongs here, scope for this belongs here, variables are allowed to access scope going down. So what we need to do is a trick to kind of get target to work here. We're going to actually create in our pop-up code, let me delete this whatever dude variable, and we're going to create a new variable called and I'll make this super clear, the last clicked pop-up target. And we can just say that equals false. We can just declare it so we don't have to do anything, or we can say that equals 0. We can say it equals the first pop-up. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to declare it so that it exists in this scope. Now, what we can do is go down here to where the target gets first assigned, and we can say the last clicked target is equal to target. And now because the variable was first declared outside that scope, it's allowed access, and this variable now is equal to that. So if I would, and I know that might be tricky, and encourage you to try to wrap your head around that, but now if I move the last clicked pop-up target to down here in this new scope from the parent scope, it will work. So I'm going to refresh the page, click close, it worked. Refresh the page, it worked. And what's nice about this is if we had 1,000,000 pop-ups, when I click close, it's just that much more performant. And as you get better, you're going to have to think about things like that in JavaScript. I'm going to keep going and expand on that concept of scope by showing you the other issue, which is what if, so this is nice, or let's actually open up pop-up 1. This is nice. We get the nice Flexbox perfectly centered thing. But what if we resized? I'm not getting the perfect height thing until I open the pop-up. That's because all our logic here is tied to the opening of the pop-up, which makes sense, but we also need to say for on resize. So I'm going to scroll down here to on resize, which we already have done some code for. I'm going to say pop-up is open handle for resize. This way, if the pop-up's open, if they're on like a tablet and then they go to landscape mode and the height changes, they can still see the window height changes and they can still see the code. So we're going to say, we're going to have to call in the last clicked pop-up target down here and say variable, the last clicked pop-up target height is equal to the last click pop-up target find guts outer height. The same thing we ran kind of earlier. And you could probably refactor this a million different ways to be a little bit cleaner, but I'm not going to worry about it for now. And we're just going to kind of rerun this code that we wrote out here. And so we'll just re-grab the window height too. So we'll say window height is equal to the window height. And if the last click, and I'm going to get rid of that dollar sign, that was my mistake. The last clicked target height is greater than or equal to the window height. The last click target, add class, remove class. So this is almost ready to go, except this scope for the function ready is not in the scope of resize. So we need to actually bring this variable all the way up to another level where it can now access the scope of not only this one, but this one and everything. And because the variable is declared outside of a function, this is actually considered a global scope. So if I refresh now and I click open pop-up, close it, it works. Open pop-up, close it, it works. We're able to access that variable. And I'm going to open up actually, I won't open up my console, but I will open this up and resize. And you can see I can scroll now. And to show you what's going on here, let's zoom out a little bit. A secret pop-up is showing. And if we resize too small, or a secret pop-up is showing, if we resize too small, and this console keeps changing, but we get on here, secret pop-up is not enough space, panic mode. And now it's removed, it's added, it's removed, and it's added. Pretty cool. This pop-up is 100% dynamic. We just learned scope in JavaScript as well. And hopefully you kind of wrap your head around that.